Hey everybody, Sarah at Nova Motorcycles again. This week we have a really cool, beautifully patinaed machine. It just showed up and my eyes lit up. This is a 1968 BMW R50/2. Customer has owned it for a long time, and he just told us that this is the first bike he saw in a magazine and wanted, and went out and got it, and I know how he feels. My Moto Morini was that way for me. The first bike I didn't just happen upon, but I sought out after seeing it in a magazine. So clearly very special to him. He apparently wants to sell it. He's not riding it anymore. So if you're interested, hit us up. Might be a buyer. So yeah, these were cool. The /2 came after the basic R50. Second generation, basically. Has a lot of cool features that are pretty vintage. It came out in 61. I think the last year was 69 before they went to the next generations. But this Earl's front end is very BMW. They weren't the only ones to do something like this, but they really did perfect it. Interesting thing, when you ride one of these, typically on a bike with forks on it, when you grab the front brake, the front end dives down. This kind of does the opposite. It tries to ride up a little bit. They're very stable, predictable, but kind of odd. Not necessarily the most sporting thing, but if you have a sidecar, they are perfect. This is really the hot setup for sidecar rigs as well. Speaking of sidecars, these bikes came built in with sidecar lugs in the frame. Really a utilitarian motorcycle. When it came out, you could tour forever on it. You could bolt a sidecar to it, ride across Europe, ride across the United States if you want. R50, 50 means 500 cc. They did also make an R60, which is a 600, had a little more toot. These are not known for being the most powerful bikes in the world. I want to say maybe 30 horsepower if you're lucky. And it's not necessarily the lightest of the 500cc bikes, but they are incredibly smooth. They're an under-stressed motor, which means they'll pretty much just go and go and go with very minimal maintenance on it. I love that this is white. I think it's called a pearl white. There's probably an even more specific name about what the specific color it is from BMW. But it's a beautiful, just, white frame, white bike. Motorcycles were just classy at this time. The pinstriping was done. You can see on the fenders here, this pinstriping is just, a nice touch. And then look at this little toolkit in the gas tank. How convenient is that? How just, what more do you want out of a cool touring bike? Place to put your stuff. Beautiful saddlebags, side cases, I would say. These aren't even bags, it's side cases. Dual solo seats, essentially, dual independent seats, one for the passenger, a little grip to hold on to as you hang on tight. Just kind of cool. There's a lot of detail that goes into making these things. And the other thing, oh yeah. All right, back from the interruption. A very loud Ducati just fired up, and we couldn't keep going, but we're back. So the rear fender, much like an old Harley, has a hinge in it, so it flips up out of the way. You can get your wheel off at the side of the road. Very helpful. These bikes are really made for people to do a lot of the service themselves. Also a time when people kind of planned on breaking down the side of the road and had a full toolkit with them. Speaking of the rear, it is a shaft drive motorcycle, as pretty much all BMWs are and still are, except when you get into the modern singles and twins, the parallel twins. But those don't count. Flat twin airhead or flat twin motor is what we consider the stereotypical BMW. The carburetors are side float chamber rather than being below. Very typical of the time, of really the 50s holdover, like an old Delordo or an old Amo, British or Italian carb. These are very much of their time. They work great if you don't need to idle too much. These bar and turn signals are one of my favorite pieces on this. I believe this is the only factory to actually make these. You can buy these as aftermarkets now. You can get replicas of them. We put them on custom builds. They're great. But I think, and if you know better, please tell me, because I'd love to know. But these are the only factory bikes I've seen come with the bar and signals. They work great. They're elegant. You can see them from the front and the back. Really, really cool thing. I've always loved that about the /2s. And then on this side of the bike, we have a very cool Kickstarter. The BMW actually kept the Kickstarter until I think 74, when they put it on the 900, and it got so big that it was actually breaking the crankcases, breaking the gearbox cover. But because it's a longitudinal crank running front to back, the Kickstarter comes off to the side, and it's just, you know, super easy to start. You can get a lot of weight on it. It's not awkward. The bike is on the center stand as it goes. Super cool. The center stand, elegant, huge, big hunk of metal, but it works really well. It's actually very easy just to get the whole thing up. And being a BMW, it's designed so that you can take both the rear or the front wheel off as you use the center stand. So it's a really well thought out piece of engineering for its time. You know, it's really ahead of the game on a lot of things. And lastly, the rear suspension. We didn't get to this. It's sort of it's reminiscent of a holdover from the plunger frames, which, of course, you've watched all our other videos. You would have seen the BSA plunger frame talks, meaning that the shock is held in the middle, but it actually has a swing arm, like you know, a later bike, but like a plunger frame where the shock kind of holds the hub, the sprung hub, up and down. This is very much a direct descendant of a plunger rear with a swing arm on it, and even the frame has a big loop in the back, the lug, where it would have probably held an earlier sprung hub, and they figured out how to attach the swing arm to it. So definitely a transitional time from earlier to sort of a mid-century motorcycle. And again, just a beautiful amount of patina on it. We love stuff like this. So if you're interested in buying one, let us know. And otherwise, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to these vids.